everybody has the same hardware, so to speak, maybe a little different software. We all have the potential. Why are some people able to take that potential, get it into results, and why are some other folks not, including myself? I was just like, why am I where I not need to be? And then that led me to study the behavior, the drives, the habits, all of these things, the beliefs that we need to get in order.
Welcome, folks, to the Road Less Traveled show. This is a show about people who have been successful in a prior endeavor, a prior career, and left that path to follow a different path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
Today we have Ketan Patel with us. So Ketan, we're certainly pleased to have you on our show. And Bill, if you want to go ahead and start the questions.
Yeah, hi, Ketan. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Road Less Travel show. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, guys. Very excited to be here on the show with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and what your former career was and what you've transitioned to now?
Yeah, so originally I'm an immigrant from India. I came here when I was 19, and then I went to pursue on my Doctor of Pharmacy degree, worked as a pharmacist, then transitioned into real estate syndicator, and then into a high performance coach.
Oh, great. And on that path now, what kind of was the transition? I mean, how long were you a pharmacist and how did you kind of go about that?
Yeah, so I was a pharmacist for about 3, 4 years, but I just knew my original goal was just to start passive income, right? So if I have another income stream coming in, I just have more options down the road. And I started getting that income, I really started questioning my values and what kind of life I want to live. And I realized if I don't make the change now, it's never going to be a good convenient time, and another 5 or 10 years will pass by. So I went out of the profession much more quickly.
Right. Good. Yeah.
So Ketan, as you we're looking to, well, actually, as you were in the moment, as you were in your previously perhaps as a pharmacist, is there something funny, that a humorous story that you can share that kind of made you ask yourself, why am I doing this?
Yeah, all kinds of things happen. People are extremely stressed out, and they can't even take a moment to sit down. And now I'm counseling them about anti-anxiety medications. Only if you are just taking a moment to breathe, it would be good. And I realized that the funny thing to me, at least, was I asked myself, what if they pay me $1 million a year, ask me drink as much coffee as you want, come in when you want, leave when you want? Would I do the job? And my answer was no. And that made me realize what's going on. This is much deeper than what I thought it to be, originally.
Well, tell you what, that's actually fantastic that you were able to kind of recognize that this you wanted something different. There are a lot of people who go through an entire lifetime of being in the same field. I mean, quite honestly, myself, I spent 30 years in IT, and I enjoyed the ride, but I'm glad to be doing something differently now. So for you to be able to recognize that, early on and make some decisions about how to change gears, that's great that you were able to do that. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, Keaton, what was was there a certain deciding factor that made you change? I mean, was there a certain moment in time and you said, okay, this is enough, or was it kind of a gradual, as you build up passive investment, you got into some other avenues of income and kind of expanded your horizons, or was there kind of one defining moment when you decided to flip the switch and go down another path?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So original plan was to quit eventually once I have enough passive income that's matching my salary. And the passive income was growing through the real estate, but I realized it's going to take another 5 years, and I don't have that 5 years. So what do? I stumbled across a home care business. I bought that business. I knew nothing about that business. I had no money to buy that business. I already had all the student loans, and I thought this looks like a perfect time to quit the job and just pursue this business so I could be in the direction I want to.
Great.
What was the home care business? What do you mean home care business?
So it's basically seniors, and my caregivers will take care of seniors in their home.
Okay. I follow you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So as you were, Ketan, as you were moving away from pharmacy and moving toward the path you're on now, Were there some obstacles you encountered early along the way, early in your process?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest challenge we all deal with is just the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna throw those doubts, throw those limiting beliefs. Hey, is this the right decision or not? What if this doesn't work out? What would you do? You have these loans, XYZ, all those limitations over and over. So I had to unravel them one by one and just kind of replace them with positive beliefs to support me in my growth and where I want to go.
Absolutely. Well, on your new path, and you've had several transitions, right? You've gone from the pharmacist to capital raising and investing in real estate to now high performance coaching. In parallel, probably with the real estate still. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
still involved in the deals,
Yeah.
and I believe you even have some other avenues also you've been pursuing. What was one of like the first victories in one of your new careers you can remember that when you realized like this was the right decision for me? It's you got past, like you said, your limiting beliefs.
Yeah, so the senior care business, I was spending close to 40 hours, 45 hours in the beginning, and it was challenging to learn about this business and manage employees and all that. But one of the limiting belief was, I was tied to the hours I'm putting in. Hey, I need to run this business. I need to be in the office. Until I challenged that and I changed that, I was able to run that business in less than 10 hours a week. And that was a huge, huge victory because now it's giving me the cash flow to live on, but at the same time I have so much time freedom to, if I want to relax, I could relax. If I want to pursue the other ventures, which I did, it helps. So I realized the importance of time at the end of the day, and productivity, so to speak.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all certainly heard this, that the time something takes to do will expand to fill the time allotted. And and if you're not challenging yourself and working on your business to figure out how to be more efficient and how to really tighten things up and be more productive, well then you're just going to wind up feeling like sometimes at the end of the day, what did I accomplish? It's certainly something where I've always believed in the concept of Kaizen, continuous improvement, and really again looking to challenge what I do personally as well as what Bill and I do in our business. And we're going through that process right now. We're really trying to fine tune, figure out how to improve efficiency, and that's got to be part of it. So the fact that you cut your effort in the senior piece from down by 75% reduction in the effort, and you're still running things, that's fantastic. That's great. Definitely.
Yeah, it's always that difference between working on your business and working in your business. You
Yeah.
get so in the weeds on stuff, you forget the larger picture, and that somebody at the top actually needs to run the vision of the business versus just the day-to-day small tasks. Yeah.
And absolutely, I agree with you guys. And I also realize that there's another level. Once you start working on your business, you realize that at the end of the day, you are the person making the decision. So your values, your beliefs, your goals, your fears, they'll constantly keep interrupting. And I started working on that part. So typically, we don't look at personal development as anything to do with business, but I started working on the things strategically that would actually help me with the business. So like working on yourself that would allow me to work even efficiently on the business, which will take care of in the business.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly, I think it's the E-Myth that talks quite a bit about that, the concept of working on your business and looking for ways to improve, great book. But yeah. So Ketan, in your current path, is there anything funny that's struck you, or any funny goal experience that you've had along the way?
The interesting thing is, it's just an interesting observation, is the challenges that people have, more or less they are similar. They are just different flavors. And I realize myself having those same challenges at a different moment, but oftentimes we don't look at it from that perspective. We look at it that, man, I have this challenge, I can't figure this thing out, and we think we are alone. But in reality, everybody shares more or less the same kind of challenges at different points in their career.
Well, so forgive me, but as in your coaching, have you ever had a situation where you're like, having been a pharmacist, you think to yourself, Man, that guy needs some Prozac.
No, not to that point, because the the point is just to be very, very open, welcoming, but not to that point. Pharmacy would
Yeah.
have more interesting situations where people they claim they lost the pain medications and I
Uh-huh.
can't fill it early, so they have list after list of reasons, all prepared. And in the end, I'm like, do you have anything else on your list?
Right.
That's good.
You pick out a big scroll that rolls
That's
to the
right.
floor.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, number 75 didn't work this week. Okay, let me go to 76.
Yeah, I had to try a new thing.
Yeah.
Well, where are you today on your journey, on your new career path? I know you've opened up a new avenue recently in the last couple of years with high performance coaching. Can you talk a little bit about that? Where you're on that, and what made you decide to do that as the next goal to kind of complement some of the real estate?
Yeah, so real estate, I'm very fascinated about raising capital. That's my part in syndication, and I was doing for a while, and I had the same epiphany as I had when I was a pharmacist, right? Even if I get the $100 million in portfolio or even more, what would happen? Eventually, it's a good thing to get the goal accomplished, but I know myself. I just want to serve. I want to keep going on to the next level. So I was doing so many events and coaching for myself to go better at the business, but then I started realizing I really have a passion for this niche, and I turned that hobby into a business, just like how it happened with real estate. And I realized just to let the curiosity lead the way. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable because you are not sure how it's all gonna go, but in my experience, if the curiosity and interest lead you, you're gonna come across an interesting path.
Right.
Well, that's
I'm sorry. What was one of the I guess driving forces? I see the Jim Rohn poster behind you. What were some of the key factors to make you want to go down that path? That was just really an interest, like looking into yourself, what made you tick, and your thought process, limiting beliefs, or what kind of made you want to go down that high performance coaching path?
Yeah, so I just was perplexed. Why are these 3 to 5% folks getting results, whether it's real estate or any other business, right? And why is the majority of folks, they have ambitions, they have dreams. Everybody has the same hardware, so to speak, maybe a little different software. We all have the potential. Why are some people able to take that potential, get it into results, and why are some other folks not, including myself? I was just like, why am I where I not need to be? And then that led me to study the behavior, the drives, the habits, all of these things, the beliefs that we need to get in order to get the results we want. And then for myself, and then naturally that turned into, hey, let's start sharing this with people and helping other folks and stuff.
Well, that's actually honestly very inspiring, I think. It was certainly in the fact that, number one, you were able to take, something that was a personal interest and, maybe a hobby, like you said, and actually turn that into something you're pursuing where you're not only providing and doing self-development for yourself, but you're now able to actually apply that and offer that to others, which again helps other folks. And I think, again, that's certainly a worthy cause. And actually, I think it is a Jim Rohn quote that does say something along the lines of, you'll seldom rise to your level of potential if you're not investing in yourself through self-development and self-achievement. Again, I don't have the exact quote, but yeah, that's awesome what you're doing now. Good. So Ketan, so where's the road take you from here?
Well, from here, again, just, everything that I'm curious about, just keep pursuing and see what interesting ways come up in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
So in your coaching, obviously you're working with clients, you're touching base with folks, once a week, once a month. Just give maybe a 2-second on how that works.
Yeah, so typically, every week or other week, because what happens is at the end of the day, if we think about getting to wherever we need to be, there are these 5 components, right? We need that clarity, what the outcomes are, what we are trying to achieve. Once we figure that out, we need the strategy. What is the strategy to help us get there? Now we have the strategy, it comes the time to execute, right? Having the productivity and time management and an action plan and all that. You have all that, you're getting some results. Now you do leverage to boost it up. And then in the end, along the way, your limiting beliefs and fear. So these are the 5 components, and depending on the client, everybody has a different makeup. So I just help them to put these pieces into their businesses, and eliminate the weak spots so they could get to their journey quicker. And however that looks like, every week, every other week, and phone call, email support, all that.
Yeah. Well, what is something, Keaton, you've implemented recently in your business that's helped you further your goals? Or something you've came up with, or that's really made a like a sea change almost in your productivity? Or
Yeah, so one thing is, I've realized to be very, very comfortable with stuff that's not done. Because we have all these to-do lists and so many things going on. I realized just pick the 1 or 2 critical tasks for the day or for the week. Just get those done. Forget about the rest. If they get done, great. If not, no big deal. Instead of just trying to be busy like an ant and just running over everywhere and feeling like you're doing a lot, but the needle's not moving in the direction it needs to move.
yeah, remember that from, was it Gary Keller's book, The One Thing?
Yes.
The
Yes.
one thing you could do to move your business forward versus, like you said, there's so much, there's always, hundreds of emails come in and different things, but like you said, being distracted, trying to answer all those versus the one that'll actually move you forward. I think it's critical. Most people overmiss because you're so, I think a lot of us are so, goal oriented, and, you want to get things checked off and stay ahead of stuff. But yeah, it can be overwhelming that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I certainly know that, if I write out a list of all the stuff I've got to do, it sometimes is a pretty long list. And then, at the end of the day, I got to kind of remind myself, listen, don't get frustrated. Did I pick the top things? Yes. Did I accomplish those? Yes. All the other stuff is noise. Yeah, it has to get done at some point, but you got to, again, obviously focus on the items that move the needle, I think, as you said. So, somebody asked me years ago, how did I do X, Y, Z in a particular circumstance, with family, with the job, with travel. And at that time I was traveling all the time. And I answered them honestly. And I said, something's got to drop. You got to give something, if you try to, clear that account, that to-do list every day, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Focus on what's important, I think is the message. Yeah. Yeah. So Ketan, what advice would you give somebody who's looking or contemplating a career change, a path change?
Yeah, anybody who's contemplating that, I would really ask them, first of all, to define the success for them, because it's easy to take off the rack success definition of the society, which doesn't help us in the end. So, define success for them. Define, what is going to bring them joy. What are they curious about? What are they passionate about? And use all of that data, what their values are, how they want their ideal lifestyle to be, and use that information to create that career, instead of just just taking the societal definition, right? Because for somebody it might just be that time freedom. They don't mind working a lot, but they just want flexibility in schedule, and they're very happy. For some folks, it's not that. It just needs to be just making more dollar amount, so to speak, right? So figuring that out, and very important is having a game plan. So whether in 2 months or 6 months or a year, being strategic about it. Otherwise, what happens is we get excited after an event or a vacation or a book, and we have some plans, but we don't end up following through. And then we come to the same realization a year later, 2 years later, and there's the perfect time rarely arrives. So maybe it's not a good time for family or finances or somewhere, but you just kind of have to make it a good time by making the commitment to make the change, because eventually it's going to bring you more joy, more success, more fulfillment, right? So
I think that's a great point. And again, you really have to understand a bit of who you are. It's we all want to be gazillionaires, but at the same point in time, that's not realistic for everybody. So if you're the type of person who, we all have fear, uncertainty, and doubt, of course. But if you're the type of person who has to have a you've got a lot of family obligations perhaps, or you've got a lot of personal obligations that are going to take your time, that are going to, require a certain level of income. You may very well be the person that, you need to have that W-2 job, or you have a steady income and things like that. Not everybody can really kind of pursue an entrepreneurial path, even though they want to. And again, we certainly encourage people to, find out what's right for them. And some of what you mentioned is exactly how I think get there is understand who you are, figure out what kind of lifestyle you want. So you talked a lot about that. So great.
And yeah, you mentioned a great point. A lot of times it's not necessary to leave the job. There are changes you could do within that job, or something related to your mindset, what's triggering you, or certain aspects that are not making you happy. And that could give you a great ROI as well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There are plenty of people who do fantastic at their job, and they want to keep doing it. They enjoy the field they're in, but I certainly, when I was in that world, I certainly was always looking for another possible investment opportunity, that would help me generate passive income for me. That's why we do what we do. That's a lot of times it's helping to match somebody who has, goals, objectives, perhaps, enjoys their career, with another way to, generate income. So nice.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people almost back into their goals, right? They say, I want, financial freedom, but they don't really know what that means or why they, is it 1 million? Is it 10 million? Whatever the goal is, it's just a number. They think once they achieve, everything will be perfect. But if you don't enjoy what you're doing, when you get there, you're still not going to be fulfilled or happy. If it's not something you enjoy doing. I mean, if a job you hate, even if it paid 10x what you're paying now, you're still not going to be happy. You'll have some more options as it goes. But I think it's critical that, like I said, to find something that actually you want to end up at, make that your initial, how you set your goals up is what you want to be and where you want to achieve, versus just like a dollar amount that you think is going to make you happy. Because it won't. I mean, it's people are goal oriented, they can hit those, and it gives more options. But, if you don't like what you're doing or who you had to become to get there, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, that's a great point in terms of dollar, and I have 3 nuances around there, right? So one thing is people come up with the number arbitrarily. First of all, I've questioned a lot of folks whether it's 500,000 or a million. It has nothing to do with what lifestyle they want. It's just a number they throw. Second thing is, the moment you reach that goal, your mind is going to bring you at another goalpost. Because if you look in the past of your life, you probably had a goal to be here today and you thought everything would be different, but it's not, right? And then the third thing is the way you have been thinking and feeling has been conditioned into your body, and that external success or post is not going to change. It might change it for a week or a month, but after that, the body and mind will start getting into the habitual patterns of thinking and feeling. So what would happen is, at that point, you'll realize, well, it didn't help me a lot. What do I do next? And this is where, you see a lot of people who get successful to that point. You sell your company for a big amount of money. And then for folks, the challenge still comes because of these 3 reasons.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Ketan, what's the best way for our listeners to reach out and to learn more about either high performance coaching or anything else you do in that aspect?
Yeah, sure. So the listeners could go to ketanpatel.com. That's Ketan Patel, Patel.com. I have a 5 pillars guide of high performance waiting for them. And for folks who really want to take their business or life to the next level, they could also book a session on the website directly with me. Happy to do a complimentary session with them and learn more about them. So
that's great. Yeah. No, really appreciate it. We want to thank you for being on the Road Less Travel show. Really enjoyed the conversation and wish you continued success in your new endeavor. All of them.
Thank you, both of you guys, for having me on the show and giving the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Ketan. Yeah, we'd really like to thank you again. And we certainly also want to thank our audience. We appreciate you listening, tuning in, and being part of this and supporting us. Please give us a 5-star rating, again, on all the different platforms that we are on. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend it. You listen and take action. Thanks for joining.